Today is the day fourth-year medical students across the nation work for.
It's match day. That means med students find out where they will be matched up for the residency program, and if it's the program they chose. Carol Walker finds out how it feels by spending the day with a med student at the UW.
My dad was a doctor, and I grew up convinced that I would never be a doctor, because everybody always told me I was going to be a doctor.
But Joeli Hettler is going to be a doctor. And this morning, she's channel surfing with her roommate, trying to think about anything other than the fact that in a few hours, this fourth-year med student will find out if she's going to Rochester, New York, Joeli's first choice for her pediatrics residency.
It's not scary, I don't think is the right word. It's not that scary. It's more just, I want to know. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for a long time, and there's a lot of hard work, and I just am excited to know.
At least her roommate is reaping the benefits.
You could roll back the carpet and it would be clean underneath. You could roll back, well, you did roll back the couch, and the couch is clean underneath as well.
It's finally time to head to the lecture hall for match day. Jolie's hardly alone. In the next few minutes, some 150 extremely nervous med students will find out where they'll spend the next 3 to 7 years.
A lot of happiness, a little bit of sadness maybe, but mostly excitement.
It happens today in every medical school in this country, and at the same time.
Jolie's time is finally here.
University of Rochester, New York, pediatrics. I'm really excited to get started. This has been a long road, and I'm excited to start.
Next stop, Rochester, where she will be Dr. Hettler. In Madison, Carol Walker, 15 News at 6.
Good luck. 58% of the graduating UW med students selected residencies in primary care.
Next, the class of 1995 has selected one of their distinguished classmates, Joeli Hettler, to speak on their behalf. Ms. Hettler.
A pretty cool thing is going to happen today. Hi, Billy. Hi, Billy. I'm going to get a diploma from medical school. Hand in glove with that diploma, however, comes the presumption that I've learned something during the last 4 years. I guess I have learned a new language. I'm often called to answer Thursday night questions from ER-addicted friends and relatives. I've experienced enough memorization and regurgitation learning to know that regardless of circumstances, I can pass any exam. Whether self-critical and sleep-deprived, like in PChem, knowledgeable and confident hematology, or confused and convinced of inevitable failure, that'd be neuropathology. I will predictably get the average score every time. I've appreciated the value of experiential learning, the best example being Dr. Langabardo's method of no vets, no glory, blunt dissection. But the kind of learning that really has shaped my ideas of what kind of doctor I want to be is a little bit more difficult to describe. In many ways, being a medical student is a privileged existence. Never again will I be offered the position of innocuous observer to a great clinician. At first, I resented my role of exam room wallflower, crowded between a sink and a supply closet. I thought it was a degrading suggestion that I was incapable of talking alone with the patient. However, soon I recognized that this would be my only chance during my medical training to observe such a variety of physicians. This then became my time to try on different approaches to patient care, with the thought that I could take the unique qualities I admired from each and integrate them into my own developing style. Although I assuredly learned from every physician with whom I interacted, I have had the privilege of working with some truly inspirational human beings. The gentle, unassuming pediatrician who can enable an angry and defiant 16-year-old drug user to conclude on his own that maybe leaving home right now isn't the best idea. The somewhat eccentric, but nevertheless hero of a surgeon who gracefully accepts nothing less than perfection as he skillfully inspires meticulous thought that ensures each patient is provided with the best possible care. The internist whose quick mind is overshadowed by a compassion that looks beyond the hospital gowns and reveals a world of artists, philosophers, war heroes, and fathers. These and many others have had a profound impact on the clinician I am becoming. However, there is a group of teachers without whom my becoming a physician would be entirely impossible. It is to these people, who perhaps occasionally experienced minor inconveniences on my behalf, that I owe my deepest gratitude. To the healthy 17-year-old admitted to the hospital for routine knee surgery, thank you for your patience with my required need to do a complete, an obsessive history and physical exam. Although perhaps not directly related to your knee problem, thank you for finding out how old you were when you did take that first step. Thank you for letting me count your teeth. Thank you for letting me test your sense of smell. To the 78-year-old veteran with the typical VA mix and match combination of high blood pressure, heart failure, diabetes, emphysema, and stage cancer. Thank you for letting me learn on you how to place a nose to stomach feeding tube. I'm sorry it came out your mouth the first 2 tries. To every parent of a toddler with a cough and a fever, who let me look in his or her child's ears knowing that the exam would need to be repeated by a real doctor. Thank you for allowing me to try gentle, persuasive techniques before less subtle methods were used to get a good look. To the 9-year-old who lost her hair to chemotherapy, who wanted to play beauty parlor, who braided my hair into knots. You're welcome. To the frightened teenage mother at the homeless shelter, thank you for trusting me with your story. Thank you for letting me hold your baby. To the 53-year-old man with cancer who came to the hospital that Saturday night because he didn't want to die alone, thank you for letting me sit with you. Thank you for the painful privilege of meeting your wonderful family and helping to explain to them how just an hour before their arrival you had passed away. To the 28-year-old woman becoming a mother for the first time, thank you for allowing me to follow you through the active stages of labor and delivery. When you turned to the father, looked him squarely in the eye, and said, "You did this to me. Never again." And thank you for the opportunity to witness the miracle of birth. Books, physicians, and patients, all as teachers. I think I am most grateful for a teacher that opened my eyes to an entirely new realm of learning. This unlikely teacher came in the form of a homeless man named Kevin. I was in New York City working in shelters for homeless mothers and their children. Walking home up a rainy Fifth Avenue, my solitude was invaded. Spare change? I had a patented response to such requests. I would make eye contact and say simply no. I broke my newly acquired Manhattan speed stride to let a woman in a luxurious fur pass. I looked in the direction of the voice, and my eyes met those of a man hunched over on a milk crate. No, I said, but something about this man saddens me. I'm sorry, I added, and I quickened my pace. From over my shoulder came the colorful proposition of a marriage proposal and the promise to become an honest man. Surprised and somewhat impressed with his creativity, I looked behind me to see his eyes already cast down into his empty cup. I was struck by how quickly he had given up on me, and I turned around. "I'm not going to give you any money," I said, which would have been fine, but the next words out of my mouth were, "But I will take you to dinner." At which point he looked up. We were both stunned. He spoke first. "What?" I offered a silent apology to my safety-conscious parents and repeated, "I want to take you to dinner." "Where?" Having just passed the McDonald's, I thought, okay, that'd be a good choice. A known commodity, well-lit, good security, quick and easy, in and out, 20 minutes max. McDonald's puts cow eyes in their hamburgers. I don't eat that shit. Where would you like to go? I must admit that fabulous Albino's Italian-Korean cafe would not have been my first choice. But he proudly led me through the smoky room to the last booth, and he politely offered me the seat without the duct tape. "My name's Kevin," he said. I introduced myself and we shook hands. Soon we were talking like old friends, He told me how his parents died when he was 7 and he went down south to live with his grandmother. She always made him wear white on Sundays. I told him about my parents' divorce and how it led to the addition of step-parents and wonderful new brothers and a sister. He told me stories from the Bible. I told him stories about raising chickens. He told me someday he wants to buy an abandoned building and create affordable housing. I told him that someday I want to be a summer camp director, but that it looks like I'm going to be a doctor for a while first. At this point, he took another shot at the marriage proposal idea. He tried to impress me with his manners. He explained that when with a woman, he always walks on the street side of the sidewalk. And at night, he always sleeps near the door with the gun under his side of the bed. He gracefully accepted that I was happy in my current relationship and asked me if I had any friends. I quickly flipped through all the people that I'd met in New York, and I began to think about the single mothers in the shelters. And then it hit me. Kevin, with his 8 children by 5 different women, with his intermittent problems with alcohol and depression, could easily be the father of any of the functionally fatherless children that I had been seeing in the homeless shelters. It was disturbing to think that the fathers of these children could be as genuine and as kind as Kevin. I no longer had a villain in my simplistic equation of irresponsible dad plus unskilled mom equals kids without a home. I now had a new victim. I was overwhelmed by the implications of my accidental discovery. I looked at my watch and realized that 3 hours had passed, and I was late for an only in New York 10 p.m. dance class. As I put on my coat, I realized he was still shivering. I asked him where he was going to sleep. He explained that although bumpy and loud, he preferred the subway when he could get a token, because more than anything, he hated to be cold. I think he understood that I couldn't leave him with a way to contact me. He quickly offered a way for me to find him. He'd be working the same corner at 5th and 9th if I ever chose to find him. He promised to put enough aside of his daily change intake to be able to pay for our next meal. I gave him a subway token, and we said a warm but awkward goodbye. That night I thought of Kevin, warm but never really able to sleep, on the rattling lurching 3 train that he claimed offered the most continuous ride with the least amount of hassling from conductors. Every night after that, when I was in bed, the brownstone rumbled as the 3 train rumbled beneath it. I'd think of Kevin. I'd wonder if he'd saved enough that day to be warm that night. I still think of Kevin. I think of how I was never brave enough to come anywhere near 5th and 9th after that night. I think about how he, through one conversation, has changed the way I interact with patients. He taught me that even in the purest search to understand patients as people, we can never truly know the other side. We need to let patients tell us about their lives, but be humbled with the knowledge that we only know what they tell us, and that their lives are inevitably richer and more complex than can be conveyed in any hospital or clinic setting. More importantly, meeting Kevin so unexpectedly has sharpened my awareness to the realm of possible learning sources. I don't even need to be ready for them. I just need to learn to recognize less traditional teachable moments and not turn away. It's easy to be afraid of what I don't understand, but I'm more afraid of not understanding. I can't help somebody that I don't understand. So when I look back on the last 4 years, I guess I have learned something, but more importantly, my eyes have been opened to a process of learning. Although I'll continue to learn from books and patients and other physicians, it's life's unlikely teachers that will help me to understand. And if I understand, I might be able to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Joeli. You've had some interesting experiences, and we appreciate you sharing them with us. I'm sure you're going to have more in the future.